now virtual selling strategies to give your reps a competitive advantage. Tiny backstory. 13 years ago, when I started Factor 8, I would explain to people that we worked in a tiny, tiny niche. We only trained frontline reps and managers who did B2B sales in that digital or virtual or inside sales space. And I would literally do this. It's a tiny little niche. Well, guess what, folks? That's everybody now. So my goal today is to offer help in the forms of tips, tricks, and strategies that we've seen work during virtual sales engagements. And we've seen a lot of them work and not work over the last 13 years. Get your pens and pencils ready. Get your Evernote or however else. If you've got faster thumbs than me, get ready, because I'm literally going to bury you in a smorgasbord of sales tips and tricks. I'm super, super excited to jump in and get started. So here we go. I'm just going to baseline us quickly and explain that, virtual selling is very different than face-to-face selling. If you have teams of virtual sellers or formerly field sellers, or especially if you have both, I don't have to explain it to you. But for those of you who might just be managing field teams or former field teams, here are some of the top complaints. Some of these are more obvious, right? Obviously, we don't have as many visual clues and cues. We don't have that face-to-face relationship building. But some of the things that really trip up even tenured sellers is how short amount of time we have to sell. It's not 1 or 2 long meetings. It's 10 or 20 small conversations. That means sales cycles are longer. And just starting by getting a hold of people is one of the very biggest challenges. So we have to address those. We did a survey last month at Factor 8. We had over 500 folks complete the survey talking about what's been hard in the transition. And by the way, not just field to virtual, but virtual sellers working from home and in this new normal. And here are the top 5 complaints as listed by both leadership and frontline. Prospecting. Now, why do we even have to prospect? Let's say you're managing a really tenured field team of account representatives, executives, managers, whatever we call them. They own your big deals and your big customers. Guess what? They're really struggling the most. Why do they even have to prospect? Because not all of their companies survived. Not all of them are willing to work virtually, and not all of them are being contacted by your teams. So that business is dying. They're finding they're having to build more business, and they're really struggling doing that over the phones. Driving conversation with value messaging is the second one. And you know what that means to me? It means I can't think of a reason to call. I'm just calling to check in, and I'm not driving any value. So good on them that they need to both talk regularly and drive value, but it's hard to do. And at the end, I'm going to share a ton of reasons to call, everything that fits on a slide, and we have that download in the booth. Running online meetings and demos. Let me tell you something. Everybody's on video conference now, which is like heaven to those of us came up in virtual selling, right? Oh my gosh, these tools are so much, we finally get to be almost in person, right? But let me tell you something. My first online demo sucked. And if you haven't gone in and assessed every single one of your sellers' online meetings, I'm sorry for what you're going to find. And then, of course, the hardest thing they're finding also, the last one here, is the first 30 seconds of the call. Oh my gosh, I finally got a hold of somebody. Now what the hell do I do? All of this is completely normal. I'm interested, right? Give me a quick chat. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this slide. Are there any you're seeing your teams struggle with? Alternatively, type it in if I've missed something. All right, so thank you for opening up the chat. Can't wait to see what comes in. Are there any of these your team is struggling with? Now, the question is, does it really matter, right? You've got an awesome sales force that you have paid a lot of money and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into curating and training up, right? If they stink virtually, does it really impact? So here we go. What % of customer loyalty is dependent on that experience? You guys want to give it a shot? I'd love to see some numbers come in on chat. Anybody have a guess? I'm going to give you the answer in 3, 2, 1. 53%. Their experience with your reps, which is virtual for most of us now, is more important than your product. It's more important than your price. Thank you. I love seeing this come in. Thanks, Brett. Prospecting. Yeah. And 80%. Sorry, I didn't call that out earlier, you guys. I've got a lag. But listen, their experience virtually with your team is actually more important than your product and your price combined. So it's a big deal, you guys. But surely there's probably only a few people that are struggling with virtual selling, right? As leaders, sometimes it's hard to forget, or it's easy to forget, like, we get it, we transitioned, we do it all the time. So what percentage, here's the next chat, I will pause this time. I love seeing these. Larissa, 100%. Yeah, it feels like it. What percent of reps were reporting significant challenges with virtual selling? And this wasn't just in the Factor 8 survey. Gartner did one at the same time this year. According to Gartner, what percentage of reps are reporting significant challenges with virtual selling? I'm going to wait this time for the numbers to come in. Dennis is at 75%. Nadret's at 95%. Here we go. More coming. I'm scrolling. Pardon me as I'm looking off screen to my other screen. 95, 90, 78, 90. Thanks for playing along, everybody. 82. Did you know 82.67% of all statistics are made up on the spot? All right. The answer to this one, according to Gartner this year, is 93%, you guys. And it wasn't just the field guys. This was from virtual and field sellers. And like I said, my first video calls stunk. My demos were even worse. And as leaders, it's our job, right, to build their skill sets. Even more, it's our job to build their confidence, right? Gerhard, I know that you believe in this. Mindset is everything. I think that sales is a confidence sport. You hear it or you don't. Confidence is what makes the next call and finds the new contact and overcomes the objection and makes the connection. We hear it, we feel it. You hired teams with swagger, but the statistics are showing us they're not feeling it right now. So here we go. Let's fix it. Where do we start? With Billy Beane, of course. Wait, what? Who? You know this guy? Remember the movie? Moneyball. Billy Beane was the coach who went about winning the pennant completely differently. Hang on one second. This will help. Ladies, remember the movie now? All right. Billy Beane focused his entire lineup on hitters who could get on first. Not the big name pitcher. I was watching the All-Star game last night. Anybody else? Right? Not the closer, not the home run hitter, unknown names who could get on first. Why? Because folks, you cannot get home if you can't get on first. That's why I was not surprised to see the first 30 seconds of the call showing up, getting a hold of people, finding new people. They may have swagger in a boardroom, but they're not allowed to use those superpowers right now. We got to get them on first base. Now, if you're not a baseball fan, this will help. You can't get home if you can't get on first. All right, so let's talk about virtual first base skills. Boom. These are our most popular skills at Factor 8. And I'm going to give you 2 or 3 tips in each one of these, which means I will talk this fast for the next 20 minutes. Get ready to take some notes. Here we go. We're going to start first with stats that have been around the virtual world for almost a decade. But if you run a field team, you may not have heard it before. And none of the rest matters unless you tackle this first. There's this game in phone sales, virtual sales, digital sales. And the game is you got to try harder. You can't show up and guilt me into talking to you. Look how many attempts it takes to get a hold of someone. Even at 6 attempts, you're only going to get 90%. And frankly, it takes like 25 to get all the way to 100. So the law of diminishing returns happens between the 5th and 6th call. But if you're only making 1 call, you're going to reach less than 30% of your contacts. Now, I don't know which one's worse. If you have an existing base of really high value customers and you're only talking to 30% of them, or if you're working a lead list that you bought and you have to go out and build business and you're only getting a hold of 30% of them, right? Yikes. Your field sellers are shocked that the people they've worked with for 5 years aren't calling them back. But this is how it works virtually, even when they have a relationship. Unfortunately, unless you're training and managing to this, your reps aren't making 6 calls. Look at that, 35% give up after the first call. Less than 5% of sales teams are making all 6 calls. And what's even worse is over 30% are never reached at all. So if you take nothing else and you've got to leave right now, go check your teams. Make sure they're making all these attempts, unless you're using fantastic tools like Connect and Sell. Hi, Chris Beal, right? And that's making sure that you're doing all those attempts. They're pounding 80 attempts to get a hold of people, which is impressive. And it takes that in virtual sales. Here's another quick tip you're going to love. When do you call? Best days, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Best times? We're getting a hold of decision makers, right? Right before their meetings start and after their meetings end in their time zone, right? I don't book meetings ever at 8 a.m. or at 5 p.m. in my time zone. You can get me then. Executives are most important even earlier, right? Before 8 a.m. and after 5 p.m. So if we're going to make 6 to 10 attempts, and even if we stack it on these days, we understand that basically 7 out of 10 times we're going to get a voicemail. If your voicemail message starts with, hey, you don't have to call me back, harsh but true, folks, they're not going to. And you'll be shocked at how bad a voicemail we all naturally leave if we haven't been trained in what works. 2 more harsh but true facts about voicemails. No one ever calls you back if you don't leave one, and no one ever bought anything over voicemail. Can't tell you how often I'm watching reps do the 6 dials without one single message. You're missing the boat. This is a fast and easy way to make a huge difference. So let's dig into this for a second. Get your notes ready. The goal of a voicemail. Number 1, of course, get me a call back. Number 2, it's a brand impression. Folks, we know it takes 7 to 13 touches to get someone ready to buy. Why would you miss the opportunity of leaving a great voicemail? It also leaves a positive rep impression. And then, of course, there's a little bit of guilt, just a little bit of guilt. Some guy named Sean tried for about 6 straight months. He obviously had a cadence, worked together to get me to buy Phoenix Suns box seats. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, right? I'm a business owner. He got my name off a list. He sent me a piece of the floor. There were emails, there were calls. He was such a lovely guy. Because listen, the name of the game is, by the 5th call, you can't be like, lady, call me back. We have to pretend in this game that it's normal. Lauren, it's Sean. Hey, can't wait to talk to you. Not going to mention you've been ignoring me for 17 calls. He finally gets me. I thought it was my kid's daycare calling, right? And by the time he's talking to me saying, hey, Lauren, it's Sean for the Phoenix Suns, I know this dude. And I feel awful because I have ghosted him something fierce. I listened to him. I apologized. He got more airtime than any other salesperson would because he was persistent. He left a great impression. And I felt a little guilty. Be clear, I hate basketball. I didn't buy the tickets. All right. If you're not leaving a voicemail, it's like buying a billboard and leaving it empty. Check your reps because it's not a natural thing. I mean, we're all hiring millennials, right? It's not even a natural thing that they talk on the phone. They never leave a voicemail. Half their voicemails aren't set up. You must do voicemails. Now, let's do it right. Quick tips. Takes a little deeper training, but I'm going to give you some quick tips. Take and steal what you can. At the end, I'm going to give you a chance to win a master class for your people where you can dive deep into these skills. Great voicemails are under 20 seconds. They're easy to understand or read. Hello, transcription by somebody overseas. They need to be upbeat and they have to leave them wanting more, which is a little bit different than what we're used to. Here are the 4 voicemails that get returned most often. A lever. A lever is information you have that says, I'm not new. The best levers are somebody in your company. Larissa, Gerhardt asked me to give you a call and I promised that I would. Call me back at. That's a lever. Mystery. Hey, it's LB. Give me a call back. What do they want? I wind up writing it down. It's not an obvious sales call. Urgency. Hey, it's LB. I've got to talk with you today. Please give me a call back as soon as you can. And value. We call these swift voicemails. Most of what we do at Factor 8 is focused on swift. It's the opposite of WIFM, and it stands for, so what's in it for me? Okay? That is leaving some value for them. I don't have time to give you more examples, but I'll tell you what, mystery, it works every time. I don't even leave my company sometimes. The lever, I've already told you, those are the top two in my book that I go to every single time. If you could put all four of these in your reps' arsenal and have them leaving them consistently plus 6 attempts, folks, when you do a voicemail well, you will triple, if not quadruple, the number of callbacks you get. So it's usually about 1 in, 50. What if you got 5 in 50? 1 out of 10 called you back. If you look at a normal call volume, you're going to get an additional 5 or 6 conversations every single week just from leaving a voicemail. That's like an extra selling day. All right. The next first base skill I want to talk about are those first 30 seconds, the call introductions. I got somebody. Oh, shoot. That was close. What do I do? Well, if we don't train them, folks, even the most tenured person's going to do this. We're so excited. Somebody finally freaking picked up the phone. We're just going to vomit value all over them. And people can't wait to get off the phone. I love listening to these calls. I have video or audio montages of these. Having a bad day? Let me know. I'll send you the montage. It's hilarious. This one's even more common. Hi, it's Lauren. I'm just calling to touch base. No, this is at my number one pet peeve. Don't touch my base. Don't touch anything on me. No. If you hear your team touching base, put an end to it immediately. The other thing I want you to remember is that your introduction is not your value prop. Okay? Your introduction is not the time to start selling. You got to be swift instead. Remember that? So what's in it for them? A great intro is under 10 seconds. The whole purpose is to get them talking. And you got to answer these 3 questions, right? Who are you, and what do you want, and why should I give a damn? Remember, the whole purpose is to get them talking. It's not to earn the right. It's not to brand. It's not trying to get them excited. It's just to get them talking. Why? Because then you're on first base. If you can get them talking, then you have a shot at this. I'm seeing some questions come in on the chat about cadence and how often we're leaving voicemails. And there's a ton of different strategies on that. The answer is, it depends. Sorry for that, right? Set up, here's the generic answer. Set up 6 touches over 2 to 3 weeks. How often you try and how close you try depends on your sales cycle, how many leads you've got, the urgency, the value of what and why you're calling. Also, the qualification of the account. If it's an A lead or account, I'm going to call 20 times. I will not leave 20 voicemails. If it's a C or a D, I may give up at 4 or 5, depending on my lead volume. I hope that was a quick help. Feel free to put questions in if I can answer more at the end, okay? First, let's focus on those first 30 seconds, because I'll tell you what, when you finally do get somebody, don't blow it. Here are the keys to the swift intro by Factor 8. You start with their name. Larissa. She just looked up. I know you're multitasking, girl. Don't worry about it. You start with their name. It's a head perk. Then you give your name and an abbreviated company version. Cell B with Factor 8. That's it. Don't be Tom P. Hardy III with the Hewlett-Packard small to medium business division on the East Coast. No, nobody cares. You're Tom with HP. Now, your one sentence, swift purpose statement or lever. This is the heart of it. All it's doing is an ear perk. Then the secret sauce at the end is 1 to 3 swift questions. Here we go. This is what it looks like. Hey, Gerhardt, it's Lauren calling from Factor 8. Mark and Legal asked me to give you a call. That's the lever. Super powerful. Hey, Gerhardt, it's Lauren calling from Factor 8. I'm calling to see if we can help you kick up the ROI on your training investment. Kick up the ROI. There's my ear perk. Make more money. Have more revenue. Fill the top of the funnel. save money on. Okay, whatever it is, it's one sentence. And here's the trick, folks. They're not listening anyway. They don't care. They're not listening. They're doing email. Okay, your only job is to perk their ear a tiny bit, and then you follow up immediately with swift questions. Swift questions are closed, rote answer questions. Now, wait a minute. Haven't you been taught your entire life to ask open questions? What is this? In an introduction, your whole goal is to get them talking as quickly as possible. Not to do discovery, not to uncover their desired state. If I haven't spoken to you before and your first question is what keeps you up at night, my answer is hanging up the phone. You got to trick them into talking to you, folks, and you do that with a rote, closed, easy to answer question. Mark, hey, it's LB here with Factor 8. Your VP of Sales asked me to give you a call. Promised that I would. Have you worked with David for a while now? Mark's brain is still catching up. Who is this? From where? That's my boss. She asked me a question. Yeah, I've worked for David for 3 years. The answer's in their brain. That means it's halfway out their mouth. Ask one that's easy to get in their brain. Hey, are you running inside or field sales for him? Field. How many reps on your team now? I know this. It's easy. I've got 53. If you're good, you'll get to 3 or 4 questions before they stop and say, I'm sorry, wait, who is this? Now they're listening. That's when you drop your value prop. Oh, this is Lauren. I work with Factor 8, and we're best known for helping sales teams amp up revenue quickly with easy to execute virtual sales skills. Now, you said you've got 53 reps. What type of reps are those? And boom, we're going right into our discovery. Is that making sense, you guys? I threw a lot at you. Intros are critical. Don't spend all that time and money getting people on the phone and then blowing it. Next, we're going to talk about staying on base. John, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And man, I've got so much to get through. This is crazy. I'm not going to get through all of them. Staying on base is about beating the brush off. A brush off sounds like, I'm not interested. I'm not in charge of that. We already have a vendor. I'm in a meeting. I'm on my way to a meeting. I'm just out of a meeting. I wish I was in a meeting. I should be in a meeting. I really love meetings. We've all heard them. Be clear, it's not an objection. A brush off is I'm not listening to you and I just want to get rid of you. An objection is when they've informed, they've heard your pitch. An objection is a question. It tells you how to close. A brush off means I just don't really care right now. Okay? You answer a brush off with a question. It's just like an intro. Get them talking. Hey, I don't have time right now. Sounds like it's been nuts for you. Got a big deadline? That's when you ask a question that's related to what they said. Here's a second example where you ask a question that has nothing to do with anything. Oh, I don't have time right now. Sure. Hey, did you guys get dumped on with snow last week? It's the law of reciprocity. You're using human behavior and conditioning. When asked a question, we answer. If you can get them accidentally talking to you, you're on first base. Make sense? Now, if you're not used to doing this, you get on first base, you've got 30 seconds, they start to go, I'm not sure. If you're great, what you're going to do next is bridge. A bridge is giving yourself permission, or even better, setting a date and time for the next call. Remember, I told you one of the top challenges at the beginning was that I don't have 60 to 75 minutes of face time to sell. I have to sell in baby chunks, okay? I get him on the phone accidentally. He talks to me for 3 minutes. Boom. I got to bank that. And then I got to go for the next 3 minutes. And then I got to go for an appointment where I get 30 minutes. It may take 5 or 6 shorter meetings or accidental got a hold of yous to get this done. If you don't bridge from call 1 to call 2 and call 2 to call 3 and call 3 to call 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're starting over every time. Good luck with your 6 to 10 calls. Okay, here's what a bridge might sound like. By the way, at the end of each one, we teach something called closing for commitment. We don't have time to get into it right now, but it makes sure that you stay on that yard line, if you will, like a first down, okay? So that your next call, you're not starting all over again. Here's what a bridge can look like. Hey, I know, I'm sorry, you do have to run. I caught you off guard. Could we finish this next week? Is Tuesday afternoon open? Again, human behavior, they start to check. I'll send an invite for 1 p.m. Oh no, 1:30 is better. You got it. It's on its way over. Listen, would you bring the usage stats of your current system with you, please? That's my commitment that I'm asking them to do. I give them an action item. Even if they don't do it, you're winning. Great. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to give you my cell phone just in case something comes up in the meantime. Could I get yours as well? No, you got their cell phone. Got that? That's call bridging, closing for commitment, and getting a cell phone all on one slide. Holy goodness. I'm not going to have time to dive into all of the rest of these. So I'm going to use my time to just briefly tell you some of the other first base skills, stay high level, and then invite you to come to the booth, ask questions, get some downloads, and sign up for our masterclass. It's really inexpensive. We teach all of these live and e-learning, and you can enter to win it. Capturing new contacts is so hard for people. You saw it in the top 5 skills. It's all in how you ask. It's the same in how you ask about a referral. Referrals are gold, folks. Did you know 83% of people are willing to give you a referral, but they won't unless you ask? And you want it because referrals are 4 times more likely to close, and they close almost 70% faster. It's amazing. All right, my last quiz in chat. Which one of these is a better way to get a name, A or B? Obviously, I'm a furniture salesman in this. A or B? I'm waiting to see it come in. I'm going to keep going until they start, and then I'll give you the answer. There's 4 steps to get a referral, and we teach folks to leverage the rave, get people excited, then go in and ask for the name, but you have to ask for it really, really specifically. Christy, you're my first answer. You're exactly right. It's B. When I say, hey, do you know anybody looking for a great sales leader? I think of nobody. But when I get super specific, you guys have all got it. Hi, Alice. Yeah, when I get super specific, that's how somebody sparks on a name. All right. If you haven't attended your field team's virtual meetings, get in there. I invite you to have some fun with it because it will be painful. I've got this bingo card available in the booth. We teach good meetings using the bingo language, the buy-in all the way through our goals being notable and getting online with those tools. Here's the bad meeting bingo card. It's a lot of fun. The last thing I want to share with you is quit letting folks give a product tour. Imagine you're a scared flyer. You're invited into the cockpit. Would you like an overview of the safety highlights, or do you want them to show you what every freaking knob does? Most of us are giving tours instead of highlights. I'm going to quit sharing now. I invite you to come to the booth. We just have a minute left for questions, Gerhard. Oh, I had to go so fast, didn't I, to get through all those tips? I'm so excited to help. Come and let me help some more. Check out our masterclass and enter to win it for free.